Joan Collins emotionally reflected on her 5 marriages, glittering career and tough losses in a very candid chat on Piers Morgan's Life Stories. The Hollywood actress, 88, started to cry as she talked about the deaths of her mother Elsa and novelist sister Jackie from cancer. And although speaking about the tougher times, Joan also reflected on the more glam moments and confirmed a rivalry with her Dynasty co-star John Forsyth, as she called him a misogynist PK, leaving viewers in awe of her candid interview. During the lengthy chat, Joan became emotional as she reflected on the loss of her mother, saying that it was very upsetting and she wishes her mum Elsa could have met her grandchildren. Joan explained, "I did know that she had cancer. I first heard about it in Hollywood. Jackie called and told me. But we were told it wasn't that serious. Cancer was a word in the 1960s you just didn't say. We were told it was a bad, flu-like illness." Reflecting further on her mother's death, Joan said, "Daddy said she'd gone and I went in and she was laying there, and was gone. I called up my sister, and my brother was there, only 14, and it was very upsetting." Starting to cry, Joan continued, "I wish she'd been alive to see my children, my grandchildren. She would have taken a huge pride in my career." Piers then asked what Joan's parents would have made of her interview, with the actress joking, "Daddy would say, 'Why are you doing that program with that man?' While she said that her mother would have been more positive, saying, she'd say, 'Oh, I love Piers.'" Elsewhere during her wide-ranging interview, Joan said her sister Jackie did the right thing by not telling her about her initial cancer diagnosis. The star said her younger sibling, an international best-selling novelist, had wanted to avoid being pitied by those close to her. Jackie died of breast cancer in 2015, aged 77. However, Joan also said Jackie had done the wrong thing by not going for a mammogram earlier. She said, "I think in that respect she did the right thing because she did not want pity. It is a similar thing that Daddy did with Mummy when she had cancer. But I think she did the wrong thing because I had been telling her for years that you have to go and have a mammogram. And she didn't. And she had something and she didn't do anything about it. Finally she was dragged there by Tiffany, her daughter, and that is when he said, 'You have got stage 4 cancer.'" Reflecting on learning the news, Joan said, "She told me in the south of France. She called and she said, 'I just want to tell you something. I don't want you to get upset.' And she said, 'I've got stage 4 cancer,' and I said, 'How is that possible? I know you can do so much these days,' so I didn't really worry about it too much, because I really thought. My motto was, always look on the bright side. I always thought she would beat it." While there were many tender moments in the chat, Joan also had Piers in hysterics. Showing off her fabulous sense of humor, Joan quickly set to work teasing her good pal Piers about his recent departure from Good Morning Britain. When asked for her opinion on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, she cheekily quipped to Piers, who recently left GMB after making comments about the Duchess, "My lips are sealed on that subject. I'm not going to go on national TV and say what I think about Meghan and Harry, because look what happened to you." Joan also seemed to make a light-hearted dig when she joked about being able to get up whenever she wants to in the morning. Explaining her laid-back morning routine, which doesn't have to stick to a tight time frame, Joan joked, "And I suppose you can too now." viewers were quick to praise the legendary star, applauding her interview and calling her the true definition of a national treasure. One person gushed, "If you are not watching ITV, switch on now or +1 at 10 because Joan Collins, that's Dame Joan to you, is ripping the place to shreds." Fuck G-Boss. While another tweeted, "Fabulous show. Fabulous glorious Joan Collins." Someone else added, "Dame Joan Collins. An amazing icon who has led a full life, just telling it like it is. Such a great interview." And another said, "Love #Joan Collins, she has always been the ultimate feminist and has succeeded. What a fabulous role model." Perhaps best known for her appearance in Dynasty, Joan also confirmed that she wasn't very keen on her co-star John Forsythe. She told Piers how she campaigned to have a higher wage herself, adding that the actor always had to get paid $5,000 more and be front and center in the publicity. When asked about what she was paid at her peak on the show, Joan replied, "At my peak, it was $120,000 an episode. However, that came with a caveat that they'd only put me in half the episodes as couldn't afford to pay me." Joan then added, "In lockdown I started watching old Dynasty episodes, and I was impressed by myself. Quite frankly, I think I should have got more money." And speaking about John, she said, "I didn't like him, John Forsythe, because he was a misogynist PK." Although Dynasty confirmed her place in Hollywood legend, Joan admitted that she did want to be in another hit production, Harry Potter. Speaking about how she wants to be remembered as giving a lot of people a lot of pleasure, Joan added, "I wanted to so much to be in the Harry Potter films but I wasn't. I haven't had many great roles really. I reached my peak with Dynasty." Dame Joan also recalled the advice given to her by Marilyn Monroe upon her arrival in Hollywood as a young woman. She told Piers, she said, "Beware of the wolves in Hollywood, honey, because if they don't get what they want they will cancel your contract." The casting couch, which I never, ever did. I probably would have been a lot more successful. Can you imagine how much more successful I would have been? Dame Joan also recalled being invited to meet a film producer in New York aged 25 only to find him undressed in a bath. She said, "There was an air of misogyny. That was the world, and for a lot of young girls at that time, particularly if you were good-looking, it was tough." Joan also detailed her love life and 5 marriages, candidly reflecting on being raped by her first husband and having an abortion at 26 while engaged to Warren Beatty. Speaking about the abortion, Joan explained that she felt keeping the baby would have ruined my life and added that if she hadn't had the illegal abortion it would have been the death of my career. She said, "I had an abortion. It would have been the death of my career, and I was by then 26. Of course I hesitated, but I realized that if I was going to have a child I was going to be able to bring the child up properly, and I believed very strongly that I'm in charge of my body. I was a feminist before the word was heard, and I shall do what I felt was right for me. It would have been wrong to have done that. It would have ruined my life. It would have ruined my life." Asked by Piers if she had a tinge of regret, the star said, "No, not one." Conversation soon turned to Joan's love life and connections to some of Hollywood's biggest stars. Piers asked, "Have you consciously refused to sleep with ugly people? while Joan frankly declaring yes, which left them both laughing. They then discussed her first husband Maxwell Reed. Joan said, "It was horrible, he drugged me, gave me a Mickey Finn, spiked my drink and it was shocking and horrible and I couldn't tell anyone." In 1963, she then married West End theatre sensation Anthony Newley, father of her children Tara and Alexander, whom she divorced in 1970. He died in 1999, aged 67. Her 1972 marriage to U.S. businessman Ron Cass, head of the Beatles record label Apple and father to their daughter, Katie, also ended in divorce in 1983. Cass, who died from cancer 3 years later, aged 51, was reported to have blown a large chunk of his wife's fortune on a drug habit. She was also wed to the Swede. A pop star Peter Holm was 14 years her junior, but sparks flew when they met at a pool party in 1983, the year she won a Golden Globe for Dynasty. A dazzling couple, he became her lover, manager and then fourth husband in 1985. But it was all over in less than 2 years. Joan is now happily married to Percy Gibson, 56, with the star gushing, "I never thought men like this existed. He's kind, funny and we have a great time together."